PKN 360. What's up, boys?
There we go. How's everyone doing?
Woody's
back.
Like it's been a long time. It seems like I know it was just Thursday, but I feel
Wednesday.
like a long time has passed. Oh, it was Wednesday. A little extra. Okay.
Yeah.
It felt a little longer.
It did, yeah. There's like a pacing to how often we do these shows, and it got kicked off by one.
It does get weird. Like we'll do one like where it's like, okay, we have to do PKN on Monday, PKA on Tuesday. And I'll be like, I feel like I've been talking to you guys for 3 days. And then other times it'll be like, okay, we'll do PKA on Wednesday, and then the next PKN will be Wednesday. And it's like, man, do we still do the show? Like, it'll get to that point. It is weird. You get trained like a dog.
95% of the time we do it Tuesdays and Thursdays, like clockwork for people listening. And I guess Taylor had a party, I think, that like slid it by one. And then like a month ago, Taylor had a wedding, I guess. We didn't say what it was at the time. We would keep your private life private. But and then it worked out great for me because I got to go like 8 days of, motorcycle riding.
I went on a trip. Yeah. I was like, Woody's going on a trip? You know what? I'm going on a trip too. I went somewhere. I'd rather not say where, but I went somewhere with permission.
Good.
Of course.
Good. I'm excited. I do want to know.
I'll tell you later.
So the reason, and it comes into this background. So I went to my brother's bachelor party, and it was in Florida and in Miami. And, he had said at one point, he's like on Saturday, one of the last day of it, that late morning, early afternoon, we're going to go out on a boat and fish in the sea. And apparently he was absolutely hoodwinked by this boat captain because he was like, yeah, we're going to have our own space. We're going to, and nobody else is going to be there. And there's like fucking 20, rowdy guys getting on. Oh, this is the last day. So like a lot of people have calmed down a bit, but immediately you see like other families on this boat. And it's like their day just got ruined. Like that's got to be an 11-year-old. Like, oh, thank God most of them are on the other side of the boat. But my main concern is like all morning, like I tried to take a shit at the little condos we were renting, but because we were on a trip, we were eating so much late at night. I think I ate pizza every single night. I ate on top of other meals. I ate some seafood and everything. And so my big concern was like, I don't get seasick, so I wasn't worried about that. And I was like, I really don't want to have to take a shit on the boat. But based on what my brother's saying, seems like it's going to be a nice boat. So if I have to shit, that's okay. Immediately, I get on the boat and I'm like, you cannot allow yourself to shit here. It's too dangerous. Like the water is unbelievably choppy. Like there was this one woman, like right when we got on, I was talking to friends at the front of the boat. The bow is what we call that in the industry. And and she like asked me like, hey, do you have a bottle opener for this bottle? And I was like, hey, Joe, can you help her out? And she's like, oh yeah, I've never done this. I'm looking forward to it. And her like boyfriend was there all tatted up and was like, we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I've never taken her fishing. And 3 minutes into the trip, she is actively vomiting in the cab. And like,
hang on. Did you happen to mention to her, like, yeah, we didn't know you guys were going to be here?
That's what we should. I was like, bro, like you said, this is on our own boat. And he was like, it was supposed to be on our own boat. That's what the guy said. And I was like, this is bullshit. We're going to have to make a stink about this, but there's nothing else to do. So our group, we go out there and we sit in the same spot on this big boat. There are 30 to 40 lines in the water between us and other parties. Not one fish for 90 minutes. To the point that like people were walking up to this captain who seemed drunk and being like, can we please move places? Like this isn't working out. Like this is your fishing boat. Later,
if I'm a fish, I'm like, duh, this is obviously trouble.
This is a trap. This is a trap.
40 lines in the water. This can't be real.
And I'll like walk up and down this very narrow corridor, like say it, because it's not like you're in a big round table able to talk to all your friends. You have to like walk and like talk to people almost one-on-one or one-on-two and everything because it's so narrow. And like as I'm walking up and down, I can like see like the other groups of people, and slowly they're dissolving into vomiting in the middle cab here. And I realized, because I didn't, how ships are where you can walk through the outside or you can go through that middle cabin. And apparently these people like I'm so glad I don't get motion sickness. That looked awful. But like I walked instead of staying on the outer ring, I walked through the inner cab area at one point to get to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh my God, what are you guys doing in here? Like, this is so much worse. This is so much more discombobulating. You can't see the water. And at least if you're on that outside, you're like, okay, I'm anticipating a wave. I know why I'm moving. Okay. And I'm coming back down.
You got a hint or at least sympathy for motion sickness
For sure.
inside. Okay.
Oh yeah, it was brutal. We only had one person in our party vomit, but out of nowhere, he just started yakking for like 10 minutes. But at one point, like, I'm sitting there having a great time talking to everyone, and I just get like a, and I'm like, and I was like, ooh, we're an hour and a half in. This is going to be 4.5 hours. And I'm like, hey, I can hold this. And then like maybe 10 minutes later, it's like, you cannot. And so I start making my way down there, and I don't know what I thought I imagined the boat bathroom would be like, but this is generous.
That's not even bad. That's typical of the hotel rooms I rent.
Yeah.
This is twice the size of the bathroom I was in, and it was 1,000 degrees. You couldn't stand up in it. They didn't have soap, and I remember having what may rank as the worst shit, the least comfortable shit of my life. Not genuinely nothing to do with the consistency of the shit or the quality. That was all fine. It was the fact that you close that door and suddenly you're in a coffin trying to shit. I'm looking down at my swimsuit. I'm dripping into my, just so much is dripping. It is so humid and so hot in there. Yeah, it's July in Miami.
Someone else is going to have to stick their head in that toilet right after to vomit.
Oh yeah. And I'll tell you that. But then I'm feeling sick, and I'm like, I kind of get motion sickness now. I finish up, I get out, I go back, and I was fine. But speaking of the vomit thing, this guy, this was earlier in the day before the shit, but he came up. And like he humiliated this poor woman. This woman, the first one to vomit, maybe 4 minutes into the trip, like goes to the bathroom and vomits into the toilet because that's what she thinks she's supposed to do. And this guy, like he's announcing her embarrassment, is like walking around going, "That lady back there just vomited in the toilet, and now I'm gonna have to fix it. If you need to vomit, where do we do it, everyone? Over the side." And it was like, you act like we had a video we all watched before this. like you walked out drunk and then started the boat like before you even said we were departing.
Wait, pause. The captain was drunk?
I'm almost positive. He was walking around like a weirdo and everything.
That seems bad. Okay.
Yeah, but then anyway, the rest of it went off mostly without a hitch, other than like no fish whatsoever.
I was going to say,
we get back, and not a single person, not even my brother, none of us had like the sunk cost fallacy, like as we're like, of like, oh, it was kind of fun, you know, a bad experience, but it was like all of us were like, no, that was a total waste of time. That was horrible.
Are you willing to say where you were?
Miami. Or I don't know where off Miami. Yeah, but somewhere near there. I don't know.
I know. How far did you go offshore? Like in hours?
Not that far. Like that was another shocking thing is like we could still see the shore. Like you can see it.
That's no good. This is got scammed so hard.
And I guarantee like it was.
I don't know if it's the difference between the Outer Banks of North Carolina. People don't know North Carolina has this. I call them sandbars, but they're big. There's houses and stuff on it called the Outer Banks. And when we departed from there, it was maybe like 2.5, 3.5 hours out to sea before we started fishing.
Yeah, it was like a total bullshit masquerade, like not even real fishing. Then like a buddy of ours caught like a couple fish and was like, well, the place we are staying at has a pool and a grill we can use, and we have all that space. I kind of want to cook. He's like, he loves cooking. And so he's like, I know it's not enough for dinner, but I'd like to try it out. This fucking bastard of a drunk captain took maybe 45 minutes to clean 3 small fish because he kept like talking to friends he met along the pier to the point that I'm like, dude, Zach, can we all just go? Like, I'll buy you fish at the market. I guarantee that they have the same.
Taylor, we paid $910 for this one.
This is the Wagyu beef of fish. You know?
That's the most expensive fish fillet you'll ever have in your life. We are eating it.
Oh yeah, and I didn't hear this, but like we were going back later, and another friend of mine, like I was like, what a bullshit trip! What an asshole captain! He didn't move us around. He's like, yeah, the dude was pretty drunk, and by the end, like as I was leaving, I complained to him, and the guy's like, I'll be honest with you, this was the worst outing I've ever had. And I've been doing this for 12 years.
Oh my God.
Okay.
I like his honesty. He's winning me over. I'm coming back.
That's big. Yeah, that's big. Because
Anyway.
now I'm thinking like maybe he doesn't own it. He's just the captain, and like maybe they shorted him on fuel or something. You know, like maybe fuel, maybe like no, you get 25 gallons of fuel, make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe he liked to go out 3 hours out, and everybody gets a fucking whatchamacallit fish or whatever the hell.
Dolphin, tuna, marlin, whatever.
I would have liked
dolphin.
Real.
Man, if I hook a dolphin, I'm gonna cry my way home.
You won't kill it.
There's a fish called a dolphin fish. It's also called a mahi.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. But if I catch like a bottlenose dolphin, there's those if Flipper is literally getting reeled in, and like I can just see the captain, like before I can be like, oh, quick, let's let it go. The captain like swings one of those poles with a hook on it, and like, I got him. Don't worry, he's not going away.
And now you're going to jail.
I don't know how to say.
Everybody grab a club.
Dolphin fish.
I don't know. I guess you say dolphin fish. You do have to disambiguate it.
No,
from,
you're right.
The dolphin mammal, but anyway.
Yeah. It's a fish, not a marine mammal. But yeah, that sounds wretched. That sounds wretched.
Awful.
It was so obnoxious. It was the rest of the trip was so much fun, but that just brutal.
So this was part of the
trip. Yeah, it was just an activity he organized, or someone organized on his behalf. I don't think he did actually, because he's not supposed to. But yeah, it was pretty rough. Never want to do that again, or I want to do the real thing if I'm going to do it again, because it was the choppiest waters I've ever been on. Where like there were times like I know this is probably not like boat etiquette, but I was like thinking on the bow of the ship. I'm like, if I timed to jump. How high could I go?
It's pretty high.
I'd probably go up and then crash into the incoming ladder.
I won't retell the whole story of my boat sickness and near fight, but I had that same thought, because I'm way sick. I'm one of those guys in the middle, right? But in our case, the boat was air conditioned in the middle, so there was a little better case to like battle your seasickness there. Just looking at the ceiling, laying on a couch, and I thought to myself, if I just jumped out into the sea of fish hooks and lines and stuff, would my seasickness just insta-cure? I think it might. I think the second I splash into the ocean, that I'm like, whew, that's what I needed.
The sharks are attracted to the vomit, Woody. Swim back, swim back.
That's been chum.
They love it.
Wait, I don't know what the proper response is to motion sickness, but I guarantee it's not what this one lady did I walked by, which is to curl up seated on the inner area that's not air conditioned with a blanket over her head. That's kind of like you know when you if you're that's so drunk that you have the spins, that's like I'm just gonna close my eyes through this. It's like, no, you're not.
If you're so drunk you have the spins, and your response is to put your forehead on a baseball bat and turn around.
I just have to spin the other way.
For anyone out there who ever does get the spins and you're trying to go to sleep drunk, you lie in bed and you put 1 foot flat on the floor. 1 foot out of bed flat on the floor, fixes it right away. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Last time I there's that picture of me like lying on Kitty's deck, like hand on face palming, and like putting my foot on the deck. It was like, oh, okay, we're stabilized now. Like the spins just kind of stop.
That makes sense in my head. I've never thought about that.
Right.
Yeah. I don't get that wasted often, maybe especially not anymore, but that's the fix.
Go
ahead.
When I got seasick, what they want you to do is stand on there and focus on the horizon. And, then everything, like you can see it in the same way that sitting in the passenger seat in a car and looking where you're going is so much better than, say, reading a book. Standing out there and seeing why the boat's moving is good. The trouble is when you're really seasick, it's not the like natural instinct to like, stand upright and face the ocean and watch everything move. Your natural instinct is to hide from it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I've been seeing an enormous amount of motorcycle discussion and planning, and also a very, very disappointing turn where it seems like he ran into a couple of hucksters.
Can you lay out the hucksterism? I
guess
wish you could break it down. Okay.
I'll start from the very beginning. So I went, what day was it? So my motorcycle training course was this past weekend. I got that done Saturday and Sunday. So on Thursday, I went and bought like helmet and gloves and boots and all that stuff. And
did you get a discount on that stuff?
Yeah, I got a 17%, 17.5% off. He said 15, and I was like, "Come on, you do better than that." He's like, "I do 17.5."
Good. All right.
So yeah, I got like a good bit of gear, and I think I was out the door for like less than 700 for like helmet, boots, and gloves and a jacket, like a pretty good jacket. I don't think it's the jacket I would wear on a long trip, but for like tooling around town at like normal speeds, like below like interstate speeds, I think it's fine. It's like a mesh thing with like padding in the shoulders and elbows and shit. Anyway, so I went to the class on Saturday. There's 8 of us in this class. 2 of them were these Puerto Rican brothers who like their English was a little like shaky, and they had never used a clutch before. Forget a motorcycle, like never used a clutch before. Like that's the first question he asked. He's like, "Has everyone ridden a bicycle before?" No. Everybody's hands up. Who's ridden a motorcycle before? 2 hands go up. Who
was yours someone? Yeah, you've ridden one.
I didn't raise my hand because it's like
a little
you don't want to get called on.
Don't get carried away. Don't be thinking too much.
We got a wise guy in today's class.
Oh, why don't you lead the class? You're a writer. Tell everybody the do's and don'ts of taking turns.
I'll start you off. They call them the 37
press and roll.
37 B's of driving.
Slow look, press and roll. Anyway, so you had right. You did carry on.
And finally, the clutch question came up, and like 3 or 4 of them had never operated a clutch before, including the 2 Puerto Ricans. And the instructor was awesome. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. And I think he was genuinely trying to be like a good guy. But every time he would instruct us something, he'd be like, "Juan, Pablo, y'all hear me? Y'all following?" like almost like they were like slow-witted or something. Like, "Hey, Juan and Pablo, you paying attention here? You catching all this?" And for all I know, they were like lazily like looking at butterflies or something, and I couldn't tell because they got helmets.
We get it, man.
It seemed weird that he was like singling them out that much. But
they don't speak English, so it makes sense.
They spoke English. It was just like,
just badly.
I speak 100% English. We all do here, right? Maybe 105. Reneg. And but these guys, that's a word. These guys spoke like 97% English. Let's just say that. Like every now and then you'd be like, you weren't all the way there.
That's an A+.
So, and we've got to do that thing where like in high school where each person reads a page out of the book, right? And that's when you really see who's who. Because, like, not to pat myself on the shoulder here, but I can read aloud. and the guy sitting across from me, like, reminded me of, like, Woody. He's, like, about Woody's age. He's an engineer who, like, runs, like, building sites in Atlanta. He's some sort of a software architect before that. So, like, he does something with, like, the internet infrastructure that's going in these buildings,
sounds like a man who can read aloud.
Yeah. Man can fucking read aloud, and I've never seen note taking like this. Like he took notes like it was the calculus final the nethis day, and I'm like, dude, this is 25 multiple choice questions, and he, let's be real, he's giving us the answers. All this stuff we highlighted, those are the answers. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Like,
when you're braking behind a semi, how many feet? What do you think? What do you see when you're behind a semi? What do you see when you're behind a semi?
You want to be careful on.
You don't see aardvarks or bumblebees.
It was kind of like that. I missed one question, and frankly, I think it went over on the second day when I was so tired and out of it that I was just not even paying attention anymore. I figured I
can't be the only one wondering. Do you remember what you got wrong?
Yeah, it was when you have a passenger on your motorcycle, you should do blank. And one of the possible answers was communicate with them whenever you're going to like do a thing. Like, hey, like let them know that you're going to turn or stop or something. And I thought that was the answer, but apparently the correct answer was to adjust the tire pressure and suspension. And
seems like you should let them know what's up.
I thought so, but I was wrong. But it doesn't matter if you make a 70 or a 96. It's a driver's test, right?
Yeah.
And but anyway, this class is $425. We're riding all day, like 5-6 hours of actual on motorcycle time the first day in the hot ass sun, sweating my ass off, drenched. 3 hours in the books. Day 2 comes around. 3 of the guys don't show the fuck back up, including the 2.
Juan and Pablo weren't there?
Juan and Pablo, who had driven from Chattanooga down to Fayetteville, Georgia, which I don't know, 3.5 hours, something like that.
Good haul.
3.5, 4 hours, something like that.
So
did not show up.
They failed the test. That means.
Well, they didn't even get to the test. Is day 2.
Oh, that was day 2.
Oh, okay. The written was also day 2.
Yeah, first thing in the morning on day 2, and we gave them an hour. We waited an hour for them to show up.
Damn.
Like I said, this guy's really nice. On day one guy didn't bring boots. He's like, what size do you wear? And the guy's like 10 and a half. He's like, all right, let's swap shoes. Like the fucking
He's
instructor.
really nice. This is a nice instructor.
I went to the DMV today to get my license, and they were like, it's not going through. It says you haven't taken your written exam. And I'm like, hang on a second. And I call this guy on the phone, put him on speaker, and he like walks her through the system, how her new, like, they've got a new DDS system in place. And he warned us that sometimes the new people wouldn't be able to use it. He's like, just call me, put me on speakerphone, and I'll get something done. And if I got to call down to Conyers and get the fucking Grand Poobah on the phone, I will. And sure enough, like I put him on there, and he's just like, I don't know, he bitches her out and like sets her straight and gets my license.
Wow.
So anyway, got my license early this morning, and my intention was just to go straight to the dealership and buy this bike, and then drive home, Uber back, ride it home. And the bike is $7,700. Which includes like a $300 destination fee. And you know, obviously I'm aware that taxes are going to be there. And I assume there'd be some kind of a dealer fee, like maybe $500 to $1,000. The first numbers he shows me, he's just like, all right, and this will be your interest rate, and that's your down payment, and 72 months. And I'm like, 72 months? Let's do like 12 months or 20. I'm like,
fucking Woody's age when this bike is paid off.
I'm like, first of all, I'm not paying this bike for 6 fucking years. Like, let's do 12 to 36 months somewhere in there, wherever like the lowest interest rate is amongst those those rates. But second of all, where's the out the door price? Like, you've just shown me a monthly payment. Like, I'm supposed to agree to that. I'm like,
6 years at how much?
I just started doing some math here, and I'm gonna paying like $16,000 for this motorcycle. Like, I'm like, no. So like, he goes back and still doesn't come back with the out the door price, even though that's the reason he left. And I'm like, no. I want the out the door price broken down, MSRP, and like whatever else you're plugging in here. And it turns out they have $2,100 worth of nonsense on top of MSRP.
So is that like dealer fees you said you were anticipating?
So like, I'm gonna get like what they call them, and like the varied amounts incorrect a little bit along the way. But roughly, there was like a $500 crate fee, which is like getting it there. And I'm like, no. There's a $300 fee for destination, and it's in the MSRP. And then there was like a $300 or $400 assembly fee, like taking it out of the crate and putting it together, which is like, that's nonsense.
I don't know about the amount, because I think mine was $250.
Yeah,
but an assembly fee is typical.
It's typical. I've seen how they come in those crates. You got to put the handlebars, and you got to put the bike together a little bit. And then there was a documentation fee that was $200 to $400. And then there was obviously tax tag and title. That's expected. That's common. And then there was something else.
But sometimes tax tag and title is like $600, and you're like, whoa, you have a secretary do 12 of these things at one time. Why are you charging me $600?
Yeah, I think they were only charging like $50 for the title, which is like standard, I guess, more or less. It could have been if they'd been 25, I would have thought that was more appropriate. But I'll pay you $25 extra. But yeah, there was $2,100 worth of extras on there, and I was just like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I was like, I sold cars for years. I'd sell a $70,000 car, and the fee would be $600. I get that that's been a little while ago, but where are they now? $1,200? I'm buying a $7,700 motorcycle, and it's $2,100 on top of the thing. And he's like, well, we don't sell cars here. We sell fun.
We sell fun. What an asshole.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you should call your motorcycle guy, have him come kick the shit out of him.
So I was like, well, I'm not going to buy any fun here. I was like, give me your best out the door price. And that's what I just quoted to you. I think they were willing to come off like $200 or something like that. And it's just like, no, we're done here. So I just walked out. I don't plan to do business with them. I do plan on buying a motorcycle this week, though.
Let me jump in. Does he have your phone number?
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's the walk out the door, and then they call you and say, oh, Kyle, we just wanted to make sure you were serious about walking out. We have a new price for you. But they haven't called yet. Okay.
If anybody wants to leave a Google review for Freedom Power Sports over in McDonough, Georgia, though, I'm sure they
actually got Mr. Suzuki on the line, and he said we can knock it down.
No, because I actually thought that might be the second half of this story, that they call you back and say, we have new pricing for you.
That would be very odd, because like when I was selling cars, like, God, you don't let them get out of the dealership. Like, maybe you let them stand up, but it's like, oh, hey, we work this out. Yeah, let me go talk to somebody about this. Maybe we can get Mr. Suzuki on the line. Yeah. Like you tell whatever lie you got to have. But I think that's just
okay. Well,
what they like. Maybe the market is like so good right now that that's just what they're doing. I just wish they'd be like, yeah, we're selling our motorcycles at a $1,500 premium plus a $500 docking fee. Like if that was like on the thing, I'd be like, shit, is everybody doing that? Like, can I get $500 off? And I'd have probably agreed to that. Like,
yeah, but they tried to bamboozle you.
Yeah,
like, I didn't like the dishonesty.
I hate that it took you multiple tries to get the out the door price.
Yeah,
because that's a term that people know what that means. What's the out the door price? He comes back with another monthly payment. Like, oh fuck shit. I asked for something specific. You went back there and you didn't return with it. Now I feel like you're trying to scam me. And
oh, absolutely, it's fully a scam. Like there's no way, I'm paying whatever it was, $10,200 for a $7,500 motorcycle. It just seems like nonsense. So
he needs to be. I'm sorry to cut off it. Like,
no, you're good.
There are times in this world when it's like, you know what, the brand new Corvettes just dropped. We can't keep them in stock. They're selling for over MSRP. Like that's a thing that happens sometimes.
I mean, it was the only one there. Like, it's not like they had a row of SV650s. If he had told me that, I'd be like, hey, just so you know, like, it's going to cost like $10,000 out the door for this bike because we've got one. I don't know if you've looked around. There's a lot
two
of
these in Georgia. This is half of them. That's the market. Welcome to COVID. If he had said that, maybe it'd be different. It would
have been a different story. I'd have bought the bike, but I felt like they were kind of greasy and dishonest about the whole thing. And the manager didn't come to speak to me, so I don't want to do business with them. I'm gonna go to a different dealership in the morning and see what I can do. I'll just get a different bike. Like I wasn't like 100,000% like in love with that bike. It just seemed like the best fit. But I'll get a Kawasaki or I'll get a used Honda or a used Harley. Like I don't care. I just want a motorcycle.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like a list of like 7 that you love.
There's now. So like if I find a bike that's in that sort of price zone, like I mean the bike I was showing you earlier, that's a $10,000 bike. I realize I'm going to have to pay taxes on it. Like it's not the
FJ09. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, like the FJ09 I showed you. It's like I think that's like a $9,700 MSRP. Like
I think it's over 10.
Maybe I think that's a used one though. I think I'm looking at a used one, like a couple years old. I'm looking at new and used. I'm not.
I was looking at what it cost when it was new because I was looking at it.
Okay, yeah, but I'm so not picky about what I get. Like I sent you that picture of that Ducati Monster. Like that thing looked cool as shit. I like the naked bikes. I think that's the term, right? When they don't have all that plastic shit on the sides. I don't like the plastic shit on the sides at all. I don't like any of the bikes I've seen that look like that.
I've evolved into that same position. Teenaged me. How can we get more plastic on here? I'm still seeing a little metal. Can we put some plastic around the tires? Why are these tires exposed? Because like in the 80s and 90s, that was the style. Now everyone likes the naked bikes. That's what's up.
Yeah. That MT09, that's a great fucking pick. I think Chiz was talking about that earlier. I don't love the MT09 that's got the greenish yellow like lime wheels, which seems I think that may be like the current iteration. Or at least maybe the one I see a lot. That's like this year model.
I'd imagine those are like just a, post option, right? Like I want that in red. No.
Well, look, it's different for everything, but like specifically for the SV650, they come in one color. Like.
Oh, that's annoying.
There's like every year they have a new color style, and you can kind of glance at one and tell, oh, this is a 2017, this is a 2018, 2019, because like 1 year it's red, 1 year it's blue. This year it's sort of a pearl white, silver kind of thing on the tank and a red cage. But yeah, it's different.
Kyle's nailed it. Like motorcycles are updated oftentimes about as often as a car, which is to say every like 5-7 years, something like that. But they update the color you can get every year. So it's like, oh, this year's is blue, next year's is red. After that, it comes in gray, and that's just what's up.
Yeah, ZT's got the red one. I think that's a 2017. And there's a 2017 I'm going to look at tomorrow, actually. That's got a few accessories on it. He's throwing some exhaust and a windscreen on it, so that adds some value to me. But they're asking $7,700 for it. So, but I'm guessing there's some negotiation there. I'll get to the bottom of all that tomorrow. I'm gonna go to one dealership, and if that doesn't work out, I'll go to another one. I got nothing going on tomorrow, so I'll shop around and hopefully come home with a fucking bike. Hopefully I can find somebody who will deliver it to my house for like a decent amount of money, because I don't want to have to like, I'll buy it, sign the paperwork, drive home,
and then get a friend
Uber back. I don't have a friend out here who could drive me. Everybody's got jobs and shit, and Kitty don't drive.
That's actually where my head was. So Kitty doesn't drive. Kitty has a car, but that's for being chauffeured.
Yeah.
Can you opt to assemble it yourself and save money or no? No.
I wish you could. That would
too.
appeal to me. I would like to assemble it myself and do everything right. Torque, Loctite. Like that would appeal to me. But
or even like, I don't even want the stock handlebars. Since we're already here, let's just go ahead and start with or maybe if you want to put some like some of those rubber anti-vibration O-ring shim things on the handlebars, like
sure,
it'd be a good time to do that when it's already disassembled for the first time. But yeah, I'm gonna go tomorrow. Hopefully I come back with a motorcycle. And again, I'm not too picky. I like these sort of like naked bikes, but I could definitely be sucked into like just getting like what is it, the Kawasaki Vulcan? I like those. That's kind of a nice bike, and they're rather cheap. And even like I saw like a 2016 Vulcan with that was red, and I think it was like $5,500. I think it's a 640.
Cruiser.
I don't know bike names very well. It's like the traditional style. Like it reminds me a lot of the Indian.
I think you would call it a cruiser.
Yeah, I think it's a Vulcan S, and it's got I think it's a 649cc motorcycle.
There used to be a Vulcan with a big motor. It like for the longest time, it had like the 0 to 60 and 0 to 100 record.
Yeah. These are brand new ones we're looking at here. The one I was like looking at was a little bit older. But again, I'm not that picky. I just want a motorcycle. I had a lot of fun in the class. I had zipped around a little bit before. I got a friend that's got a Harley. I rode it a few weeks ago, just like real quick. Just
do you know what kind of Harley your friend has?
883 Iron.
I like those.
I love it. Very nice bike.
I like those. Anyway.
Yeah. Apparently the Sportster is a girl's bike, a girl's Harley.
But, I keep leaning into this girl shit.
But every time I see a Harley Sportster, I'm just like, nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want that pussy mobile. Give me one of those. Like I like the Harley Sportster. I think it's fucking sick. So I could be leaned into one of those. Especially with a used bike, I'll feel much more comfortable test driving tomorrow because I didn't even want to test drive that 650. Like all I need to do is drop this brand new bike and have a whole kerfuffle here. But with a used bike, I'd feel much more comfortable, like just jumping on a few things. Really should
easier to get a test drive on a used bike.
Agreed.
If people don't know, in the car world, they will enthusiastically take a photocopy of your license and throw keys at you. Any car on the lot. You want to go drive a Jeep tomorrow? They're happy to give. They love it. On a motorcycle, you have to really have a vibe of a serious buyer. And typically the way a motorcycle test drive works, Kyle, you might not know this, is the salesman will hop on a used bike. You'll hop on whatever you're interested in and you'll follow him around. And he'll set the pace and the track for you. That
would work. I really should test out a Honda Rebel 500 and see how that feels and like how much zip it's got. Because the only thing that turns me off about that is it being a little bit low and worried that 500 cc's isn't quite enough for everything I want to do. And I don't think it is. I think 650 is the sweet spot for me. I
have that same thought. Yeah, especially if the 650 is a twin cylinder as opposed to a single cylinder, sometimes called a thumper. It's a little less high revving, so it's a little less horsepower. And if part of the mission is to go to Colorado, it's just nice to have a bike that, doesn't feel like you're wringing its neck at 85. Agreed.
Yeah. Those bikes we were riding on in the class were 250 cc's, and it was like, this needs a little more power. I would not want to be like take this out on the highway because it was like you'd fucking give it all she had. It's like, and I'm like,
is it a road test that you were on? Like, did you have to do stuff like, all right, you have to go left here and then stop at a 4-way and turn right on red, or like easier than that?
It was all in a parking lot, but a really big parking lot with like so many cones and spray painted lines on it. So we did things like there was like an S like track painted on the thing. So we do figure eights basically, like lots of figure eights at like 20 to 25 miles per hour. You'd accelerate up to about 25 and then break into the corners and lay the bike over and make your corner. And then we did this thing where we had everybody going through that figure eight. And then he'd wave you off and you'd come over like there was an intersection and you'd stop, check traffic, put your turn signal on, and then enter the figure eight with everybody else. You had to navigate motorcycle traffic. He put 2x4s in our path, so we had to practice. Like we don't jump it, but you pop a wheelie, and but the technique for going over those is just you just rev it up a little bit as you get there to take a little weight off the front tire and elevate yourself a little in the seat. You just ride straight over it perpendicular to it, and swerving maneuvers at 20 to 25 miles per hour, trying to simulating like a mattress in the highway. So you have to enter between these two cones, and at the last minute he's going to tell you to swerve left, right, or just come to a complete stop. And so you've got to react and do a thing, and then there's lines to measure how quickly you stop if you stop, and obviously there's cones to make sure you actually do the swerve maneuver correctly.
Did anybody fall?
Yeah, one guy fell on day 2, and he fell at a part of the course where it made no sense to fall. He must have just grabbed too much front brake, and then when the bike started came over, he must have grabbed some throttle, and then so when it sat down, it just I don't know, he must have got rocking and rolling, because when I looked up, he was down, and and the bike was down, and everybody's rushing over to turn the ignition off. But the thing he was doing was the last part of a 3-segmented thing. It was there was a double U-turn you had to do, and then there was a swerve, and then there was you just kind of came to a complete stop, and you repeated the course. He was at the part where you come to a complete stop between 2 cones.
So did he fail, or did he?
That wasn't part of the test. That was still during practice time. When it came time to test, it was very clear. It's and it was easier. He had made the practice was twice as hard as the test. So nice. in practice, it's all right, it's a double U-turn. So you have to go out inside this small it felt small in this rectangular space. It's all right, do a U-turn and then come back and do another U-turn all within this same space. And that was fucking hard, because you're going 2 miles per hour or something. So you're riding the friction zone, holding the clutch, accelerating, and using rear brake to keep the bike upright as you're making these really slow maneuvers. I found that difficult. That was probably the hardest thing we did, for me anyway. I found the curves and the fast stuff super easy. I wasn't afraid to lean the bike over. He told me it would work, so I just believed him. I kind of like that with stuff like that. If somebody's yeah, don't worry, you won't fall if you just do this. Well, he wouldn't lie to me. He's kind of liable.
Well, this is his job, so
yeah,
he knows what to do.
But yeah, it was all good. And he's
you got to see each other take the test. Was there camaraderie? You start to bond a little bit as a group.
I think so. I liked all those guys. Everyone in there was very nice. Today though, when he was help fixing the driver's services thing, he called me. The first thing he did was he sent me a screenshot of the test results. But he was just trying to show her that I had passed the test. But he sent me everybody's test results. Not everybody made a 96. Some of those fellows barely made the mark. I don't know how that's possible.
For
me and the engineer guy both made 96s, and everybody else made 84s or below or something like that.
When I took my
one guy was in the low 70s.
When I took my concealed carry, I think everyone got 100, but I got one wrong. So he brings you up. And the question I got wrong was the concealed carry enables you to carry a knife over 3 inches, and it doesn't. But I thought well, if I can carry a gun, I can probably carry a dinner knife. No, apparently not. That's not true.
That's stupid.
But what he does is he has you come up, and then everyone changes the answers to the one that they got wrong. I missed one. I was going to pass. Other people missed a lot. And there are guys in my concealed carry course who I genuinely think of as just retarded. People who shouldn't have guns. And I'm sure they got 100s by the time the course is over.
I mean, the guy who had forgotten his goddamn boots. He's
that should be a couple points off.
Look,
he is now a motorcyclist.
Yeah.
I know I'm one of those people who has that unique ability where I can read and follow instructions. And so I'm on there I don't know how many times I went back to the website and checked all the things I needed to bring. I brought so much. I brought everything they told me to bring. I had 5 highlighters. I had 3 pins. You can't buy one highlighter. That doesn't exist. You go to Rite Aid. They got packs of 5.
Okay.
I got a bag full of highlighters and pins. I got my COVID mask. It said bring your own COVID supplies. And I'm are they required? I guess so. So I got a mask and fucking hand sanitizer. Nobody gave a shit about that stuff. Nobody's wearing a mask. I've got like all my motorcycle gear, like more gear than anyone else there. No one else had more than a helmet, and only 2 of them had real gloves. Everyone else was wearing mechanics gloves.
So you showed up like to syllabus week with everything read, every book. You didn't wait to see like, are we really going to read this book? Am I going to buy this now? Or like you all in. Good.
The guy with the mechanics gloves, he's the one who fell down, shredded his gloves, fucked his palm up.
Oh, that sucks.
Yep.
Was he wearing the wrong kind of gloves?
It was probably better than no gloves.
Yeah, definitely better than no gloves. But he was wearing like motorcycle gloves are pretty tough. Like they're at the very least leather and with some armored knuckles, and some of them have Kevlar and stuff in them. I think mine do. But he just had like some mechanics gloves. He got a little scant up. He was
kind of like yellow dishwashing gloves on the front.
He's got
you said gloves. You said gloves.
Wearing rain boots and his matching galoshes. Yeah, that's fun. But man, you really ruined the curve on that test. Everybody was looking at you as like the A student. Very nice.
No one knew what the scores were.
Are you going to frame your diploma?
There was no diploma. There was a certificate.
I like to imagine they play like the graduation music. They walk across the parking lot.
Jamal Hutchinson. He comes up, he grabs the diploma, shakes hands. Remember how they walked you through it? Like you grab the diploma and then you reach under. All right, under and shake the hand, not over.
The driver's test you took, by the way, is just like the Jersey one, like all in a parking lot. As you're describing the U-turns, the S or the S weaving, I don't know what to call it, the quick dodge thing. Like this is all what the Jersey driver's test is like.
Yeah, and then there was like a slow maneuvering right angle, like going into a corner and making a right turn, like at there's 1 mile per hour.
Painted right angle that you sort of had to drive through without touching any paint.
I found it to be stressful because it's like, fuck, it's I don't know. For people who don't like know like what it's like riding a motorcycle, like I don't know. You're like letting the clutch out just enough to allow just enough power to go to the rear wheel, and the bike doesn't want to stay up. So you're like putting rear brake on, not only to stay slow, but also to like use some sort of what do they call it? It keeps the bike up through some sort of magic of physics, because the bike is trying to turn forward, but the brakes are holding it back, and it keeps the bike upright. And you're like turning the wheel of a 500-pound motorcycle. It wants to fall over, and you feel like it wants to fall over, but like it won't.
Your hands are steering. Your hands are also working the brake and the clutch, and your foot's braking. So it's like somehow using 5 limbs at this point.
Yeah,
and it's a lot to do at the same time.
Yes, it is. But passed it, enjoyed it, had a lot of fun. I was never scared or anything. The Puerto Ricans were scared. They were visibly afraid. They stalled their bikes endlessly. I mean, I stalled my bike several times. Don't get me wrong, but they stalled their bikes endlessly.
In Jersey, the driver's test, if you stall or fall, it's an automatic fail.
It's here too, yeah.
And I'm like, stall? That's kind of rough. Like, I still stall it sometimes. Like not every day, but like stalls happen.
Better have your A game on when the coach has got the clicker out.
Exactly.
Yeah, he told us, he's like, if you fall or he's like, you can hit a cone, you can miss a turn. There's like 6 things in this test.
Down a little.
Yeah, you can put your foot down a little. I put my foot down in the U-turn. I had to. I was just, and it was just nerves.
Alternative was fall.
Yeah, it was just nerves, really, because like I got in line last, so everybody's like looking up at me, like waiting on me to finish up, and he's standing there with his clicker and his like checkboard and everything, because he's timing you and
okay, Mr. 97, let's see you do this.
Fuck, it was it was stressful, because I was like, God, what if I fail this shit and I got to come back and do it again? It was not fun. It was so goddamn hot.
Lie to Woody and Taylor about this?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I think maybe it's just not for me. I think I think what I'm gonna do is get a slingshot. Yeah,
you're going to like ratemyprofessor.com. Mr. Johnson is so hard, and he never passes anyone.
Somebody did that. I always read Google reviews. By the way, what did I say? McDonough, Georgia. Power Sports, you check out their Google. Yeah, go on just terrible reviews, scam artists. But I always read Google reviews for stuff. Freedom Power Sports, McDonough, and I looked at the guy who gave me the test and everything. Wonderful guy, love this man to death. Helped me out every step of the way. Was never shitty. just super helpful. Great coach, great teacher. But there was one 1-star review, and I was like, oh. Sometimes like that's the guy who's like actually like
the motorcycle part went great, but he raped me in the bathroom.
Right? I need to know about any upcoming rape. I need to prepare for that sort of thing. So like I looked at it, and the guy's just like, value's not really there. You could get more use out of the Department of Driver Services literature. Not worth it. 1 star. He comes in and replies. He's just like, Jeremy did not have the skills required to even begin riding a motorcycle. He quit immediately and asked for a full refund, which of course was denied.
It's like, accusing every bad review as this idiot couldn't figure out the steering situation. No refund. But
Mark shit himself immediately. It was super easy. Like I know a girl who passed it, and she told me, she's like, I was super nervous at first, and the coach was like, you got this. And you know what? I did have it. And I'm thinking, like, if this little girl can fucking pass this test, anybody can. And I really think anybody can. It was very easy. If you've got any sort of coordination at all, you could do this thing. Highly recommend it. If anybody's thinking about getting into motorcycling at all, and you're like me, you've never been on a bike really, or at least never learned the fundamentals of it. Like maybe you've thrown a baseball. That doesn't mean you know how to play baseball. It's the same thing. And then that's where I was, and I learned just so much, like so many different like safety things, and just how to operate the motorcycle, and that little checklist of things you do when you're how to get on a motorcycle, right? Like the proper way, like just every step of the way you're learning and memorizing, and it's great, totally worth it. I think some of them are $300. I've seen classes for $300. Mine was $425, and I felt like I got every penny's worth. Cool, especially since I had to spend less time at the DMV because I had it.
Yeah. The Motorcycle Safety Foundation is considered a much better way to get your license than to just like whatever, figure out the test questions and then drive enough that you hack your way through the parking lot test.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean,
also insurance discount,
big insurance discount. I spoke to my Progressive is who I use, and I think it's $11 and change a month or something like that, roughly.
With no
liability. That's this liability.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Is it called comprehensive? When they pay for your bike if you crash it,
full coverage.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, full coverage is a lot more.
Full coverage was like $1,100 to $1,400, depending on how much like medical you added on. A year.
Okay, yeah. As opposed to like 120 for just liability.
Just liability. And and so I will be getting liability because if the bike gets wrecked, you just get a new bike, right? Yeah. Like it's just like it's a $7,000 thing. Like 3 years of insurance, and all of a sudden you've spent $4,500. That's what the bike's worth at this point.
I would say don't get any insurance. You got a 97.
You know what? Fuck it.
Bet on yourself, man.
And if they try to pull you up, you know what the 0 to 60 time is? On even that 650 goes 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. The cops aren't going to catch me.
No, not unless there's a motorcycle cop.
That would suck. He's probably on like a gold wing or something, though.
They're so skilled, though. Motorcycle cops.
They're so skilled. Have you seen them do the slow speed?
I watch better than I'll ever be.
They're so good.
Well, that's their whole job. Every day, they're like, what am I? Oh, yeah, I'm a motorcycle cop.
The qualifications to be a motorcycle cop. Like, there's a reason you see so few of them. That they must test 100,000 cops a day.
Because they can't bring bad guys anywhere. That's why.
We're
just going to chain you to the back. The precinct is close.
We used to drag them to the jail, but liberal media.
Well, what we do is we put them on these criminals' skis, and they enjoy a little bit of time on the way back to the precinct behind the motorcycle.
I want you to keep your spine in line with mine. If I lean, you lean. We're going to do this together. Have you seen Dumb and Dumber? It's like that.
Hang on, Pat, piece of shit. Oh, that's right. You're handcuffed.
Handcuff him around you.
He fell off somewhere on 85. I'm not exactly sure where. I figure he learned his lesson, though. We was going at least 65.
He paid his debt to society.
He'll never loiter again because he's probably crippled.
You fall off a fucking motorcycle. You fall off a bike at 65 with no gear, handcuffed. You just kill me. Just kill me. I was talking to Dirty, and his uncle like, it was funny. I was like, yeah, I'm going to get the bike tomorrow. This is last night, obviously. He's like, yeah, my uncle's got a bike. He wrecked it today. He's in the ICU.
Ooh,
and I'm like, what happened? He's like, well, he was wearing no gear, no helmet going down the interstate, fucking head injury, and he's covered with road rash. And it's just like,
just wear the helmet. Yeah. It's too scary.
I don't know about Georgia, but so my GPS, every time I enter a state, it tells me the helmet laws in that state. And a really common one is helmets are only required if you're under 21. And I don't know how I feel about that. There's a little bit of freedom, in my thought process. But for myself, I wear a full face helmet all the time.
Yeah,
all the time.
I'll grab my helmet. I think I got a good one. I could be wrong. I like how it looks anyway. I think it looks cool. It looks like a good one.
Do you wear a helmet when you're skiing, or no?
No, I haven't skied in a long time, and people didn't when I skied.
Yeah, that's one thing where they really push it on you. That I'm like, I'm not gonna go down a run that's that ridiculous. And it doesn't. I'm not getting the wind whipping. And
I routinely go down runs way over my skill level.
do you ever go down one and you get a quarter of the way down the run, too late to bail out, and you're like, all right, well, the next 45 minutes of my day is decided. Trying to get down here without
worse
dying.
Than that. A lot of times you can't see the run until you go down what will be a green circle, right? Now it starts, and it's like, well, I really can't get back up there, so I am fucked.
You have to go to and it's always triple black diamond, and it says Dead Man's Cove. And
it's I did the other double black diamond, and I really enjoyed it. This double black diamond is a whole new thing. How can they have the same rating?
They need more black diamonds to describe what this is.
Yes. Yeah.
One of the first times I went skiing, my friends led me down the wrong path, I think on purpose, because we got to Dead Man's, ravine. And I was like, where's the bubblegum forest? And they're like, that's on the other side of the mountain. You have to learn this. And I just had 5-yard sails the whole way down. It was horrible. First time skiing. Anyway, Kyle, show us the helmet.
So yeah, I got this. I don't know. It's an 8.
Can you hold it a little higher?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I looked it up actually. After you bought it, I checked out reviews and everything. It looks like a solid one. I think it's a staff pick at Revzilla.
Yeah. It was definitely a staff pick where I was. The guy was like, I own 2 of them. And so I don't know. When somebody who knows their shit tells me that, I kind of buy in, I guess, more than maybe I should. I don't know. It's got a bunch of features that are probably standard on a bunch of shit.
Did it also come with a clear face mask?
It does, yeah. I've got a clear one.
And 1 pin lock, I'm guessing?
Yep. And, there's tons of ventilation. So it's got these little adjustable vents up here that you can open and close, which is probably standard on everything. But I don't know. I guess the regular DOT helmet, it was this is molded plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kind of went... And this one is carbon fiber mesh that's hand laid on it, went through all this stuff. And then there was one more expensive than this, but I just didn't even like how it looked. And it was $150 extra. I think
very heavy. It was their granite helmet.
This might have been $400. I don't know, roughly, maybe $380, maybe $420, somewhere in there. But it's very, very comfortable. It fits perfectly, which is all I really cared about. Because I was just like, my friend's ears bleed sometimes with his helmet. Can we avoid anything like that? He's like, his ears bleed.
Yeah. Oh man,
that sounds horrible.
It was. I
never heard such a thing.
I love that helmet now. As a matter of fact, my wife's tomorrow. My wife and I are going to lunch by motorcycle, and she's wearing that helmet, and it's I have to wear the other one. Oh, that sucks. But now I'm totally. What happened was people don't care, but the inside of the helmet, it's really tight around the neck to keep air from going in, which is where noise comes from. And when you took it off, it wasn't snapped in. So it would unfold, and the snaps, these plastic sharp snaps, would drag across my ears. And at first I'm like, am I being a baby? This really hurts. And I'm kind of good with pain. I'm not one to fuss about broken bones or whatever. But this, I just didn't want to fucking put this helmet on. There was a time I just had to go across the parking lot. The motel and the diner shared a parking lot, and you want to bring your bike over to the one that's near what you're using. And I'm like, fucking no. I'm not going to put this helmet on for a 15-second ride. I wore it like a baseball cap on top of my head because I didn't want to drag it over my ears. It was that bad. I'm not there anymore. I snapped it in right, and I altered my technique. It was actually, I need to thank him. I can't think of his name right now. Thin, good-looking guy, has muscles, aced his MCATs. Navy.
Oh, yeah.
Valvity, thank you. Yeah. So Valvity was like, sort of rotate the straps backwards when you pull it apart. That was the trick I needed to hear. So
he's got the same helmet, and he's got special ears because he had like that ear surgery to like make him fancy.
I performed my own ear surgery with that fucking helmet. It was terrible.
I was like that was like my main concern. I was like, we're gonna get a good fit before we leave here. Like we started with, I think that's a large, and we started with extra large, and I was like wiggling, and I'm like, oh, we got a little wobble here. It's no good, but the large fits perfectly.
Kind of chubby cheeks at first.
Yeah. Definitely gives you a little mush there.
That lightens up a bit.
It doesn't let me like. I've got to like forcibly close my mouth when I'm wearing it, like because it wants to like squeeze my ass.
Okay.
So I'm just like, I have to like inflate my cheeks and then bite down so I don't bite the inside of my mouth when I'm wearing the helmet, which I don't love. But
it feels do any of this in the car.
No, I love what I'm hearing. That's how it's gonna fit for like the first 500 miles, especially if you like sweating it and stuff. Like it'll break in quick. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking as well. So I've been sleeping in it, and I get some weird looks at the grocery store. But I mean,
no, you just look cool. You look like an assassin.
That's what I thought. And they do not care for it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have to ride some more to like see if that Colorado trip is something I want to do, because the 2 days of like riding hard, which was like 5 hours of riding the first day and maybe 3 hours the second day, maybe 4, I was sore. And there were a couple times when I was like doing like really tight right turns, and I had to like put my foot down and like brake real quick to keep from dropping the bike. And it drove the handlebar into like my right thigh. And so like I've got a huge bruise there. Just because the bike was so low and the handlebars were so wide, it was just, I'm bruised up and I was sore like in my back, like not like muscle soreness from like lifting or something. It was just like that sort of like, I've been sitting in the same position for 8 hours today, and like everything is just sore and cramped up. So I would definitely need a comfortable bike to do multiple 6, 7, 8 hour days. But the other option, and I was talking to Scum about this, is renting bikes in Colorado. You can rent a decent bike, like what is it, the Scrambler, Ducati Scrambler? I think.
They're fun. Yeah,
it looks fun for like $80 a day, and I know that's not cheap, but like if you get some use, it's not cheap if you're going to sit in a like the parking lot of the house and just let it sit there. But if you're making a day of it, if we zip up into the Rockies and like go for a little touring and like see some sights, totally worth $80.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, if you intend to ride the bike to Colorado, like that's a pretty big piece of the bike's whole mission, and it would impact what I buy. Or on the other hand, like if you're gonna own the bike in Colorado, let's say for moving there, I might go in a different direction, something that's a little off-road capable, or a dual sport or something.
A dual sport, yeah. The V-Strom does appeal to me. I don't love the headlights, and I know that's like, maybe that's being silly. Like, no, I don't like the headlights on that one. But when in reality, it's like everything else is perfect for like my use case. But I want to like the way it looks. Chiz linked a Ducati the other day that I loved. It was either Ducati or a Triumph, and I was like, oh, that's so nice. I don't know.
You gotta like your bike.
Some of these bikes look so fucking sexy to me. I really dig them. I like them as much as I do sports cars, and they cost a sixth as much.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I hope I don't hurt myself. I hope I don't do anything stupid on this thing, but I'm definitely getting a motorcycle as soon as possible, because I've caught the bug from Woody.
If you buy a bike that has more than like 75 or 85 horsepower, you should place a lot of value in the like electronic nanny type stuff. There are like anti-wheelie electronics, traction control electronics that will keep you safe, right? And you can turn all that off. If you want to go hooligan, maybe 2022 Kyle wants to fucking rank
that Kawasaki
neuters all the time. Yeah,
Kawasaki has that traction control stuff. Yeah.
My so I went from 50 to 105 horsepower recently, and I want to say like 3 times the electronics on my bike have helped me. One time was in a braking situation. I was behind a car and I was getting impatient and like he wasn't letting me pass. I'm behind from like miles. Finally, I see what I think is a nice passing opportunity. Like it goes to 2 lanes on this curve. It turns out it went to 2 lanes because it was a stop sign and there was like a right and left choice to make. Oh. So I quickly jump up to like 80 miles an hour, see a stop sign. Now I have to brake hard on a turn. My rear wheel starts to lock up. And the bike is just like, I got you, Woody. We're gonna make sure you don't slide out. Your rear wheel's not gonna catch your front. And I was like, fuck. The bike compensated for me not being a good enough rider.
When you're braking in a turn, are you getting the bike upright before you begin, or are you braking leaned over?
I think I was braking leaned over in this situation.
Using any front brake or just all rear?
I was using front brake. Mostly front brake, I would say.
Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah, I think on shit. So you're trained and you might know things I don't. I think on the street, it's kind of like 70-30 front to rear brake. Maybe turns are different. And on the dirt, it's the opposite. Maybe 70.
I've heard conflicting reports. Like obviously, like what the manual says is what look, slow, press, and roll, or something like that. And which means look, see, look where you're going. And,
slow look, press, and roll, I think.
Slow look, press, and roll. Yeah, you slow down. You look at where you want to end up, not right in front of you. You look at where you want to end up, press the bars where you want to go, and then you roll on the throttle, which means you accelerate through the turn. And that keeps the bike upright. And but then I watched that Yammy guy or somebody on YouTube, and he's just like, they've been teaching this for a generation. And it's killed more people than polio. All right. And he starts he gets at the chalkboard out. He's like, this is Mario Margusi. He was the blah, blah, blah winner from 2009 to 2020. He won it all. You know what he does in turns? You know what he does in turns? He uses his front brake. Look at him. And you can see him like applying the front brake in slow motion. And when he's got like this fucking rocket ship of a motorcycle lane, his turns are a little different than mine. I was so proud.
Is he like that far from his elbow touching the concrete?
His elbow is touching the concrete.
Oh, yeah, wow. Elbow and knee.
Elbow and knee are grinding. Like when I
know a guy who touches his helmet on the ground when he does turns.
Wild men. Like I was so proud.
Now,
I was the only one.
Don't be worried, Kyle. It was a paramotor accident.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say like heart disease or something.
I was proud of myself when I was dragging the pegs because I was the only one in the class that like at one point after we did the figure eights, he's like, "Did anybody drag their pegs?" And everybody's like, "No, of course not." And I'm like, "I did. Was that wrong?" He's like, "No, that's right. If you're not dragging the pegs, you're not doing it." He's like, he leans the bike over like with his hands to show how far it'll go over before the pegs lane. He's like, "You think that's as far as it'll go?" And then he like kicks the peg to show that it folds up under the bike. I'm like, you can keep on going. If you're not dragging the pegs, you're not doing it. And I was like, that is really far. It is it's fun to like actually lean the bike over and make it do its thing. But dragging your knee and elbow is terrifying. But anyway, I don't know. That's what he told me to do. And I think it applies for like most road situations, especially like if you're not carving up some canyon somewhere. So it's what I'm going to do. It worked. It made the bike stick like glue. And I was not on a sport bike. I was on a real piece of shit. And it still stuck like glue.
They do stick like glue. I was surprised knobbies stick as well as they do. One of the things that I wish I could drill into other riders to understand is the speed at which you can take a turn is informed by how much of that turn you can see. So what is a 90-degree turn is actually kind of straight when you like start wide, go narrow, and end wide.
Yeah.
That same turn, if it's a 180, is very sharp. Like you've got a lot more turning to do, even though what's visual as you go into it, they look the same, a 90 and a 180. Yeah. But if you can't see the exit of the turn, you need to go extra slow.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. The guy in the YouTube video was like, he's like, I asked the MSF instructor, what do I do if I'm mid-turn and I realize I'm going too fast? He's like, well, you don't want to do that. And I was like, well, unfortunately, I've got a Ducati, not a time machine. So what do I do? Like, well, you just accelerate harder and you turn harder. And it's like, is that what you do? And he's like, well, if I was brave enough, I would. He's like, wait, you're teaching somebody to say,
not as I do.
He's literally teaching something that he's afraid to do. My instructor rides a fucking Goldwing, which is a gigantic fucking tank of a motorcycle.
Did he demonstrate his skills on it?
He didn't have it there. He was driving his pickup truck, but it's a 1,500-pound motorcycle or something.
Some of those Goldwing drivers are very talented, and they can carve up a parking lot in impressive ways, and in ways that regular people struggle to do on their 600. So
yeah, he was an older guy. I would say 60. His son did all the demonstration. His son was like 25 or so, and whenever he could ride, he could ride really well. Obviously we're in a parking lot, but like just watching him do his thing, everything was just so fluid, and like he did everything perfectly. Like
right. Sometimes you can tell this guy's put a helmet on for the 1,500th time. He knows it.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. He was very good at that. I'm sure he's great on the road and everything else too. But yeah, hopefully get a bike tomorrow. If not, it'll happen soon. I'm open to anything really. Different styles of bikes, different used, new, whatever. And I don't really care about the price that much. I don't really care about like how much you need to put down. I don't care about the monthly payment, whether it's $100 or $300 a month. I don't give a fuck. But I don't want to get ripped off. I don't like that feeling. Like especially having sold cars before, like we'd laugh at people when we got them. I don't want to be laughed at. We'd laugh at them as they like,
I don't want to be laughed at.
Can you believe it? Like you'd be like high-fiving your buddies, like knocked his fucking head off. He's paid. No, not 72. 84 months. 84 months. 17% interest. It's new.
Yeah, 17%.
This guy just paid $2,000 for 8 minutes of my secretary's time.
Wells Fargo called. They made us lower the price. They wouldn't even finance how much we sold it for. That happened. Wells Fargo's like, you can't sell him the car for this much. We won't loan this much for this car. Like, it's not worth that much. It's a brand new car, and you're charging so much for it that we can't like authorize the loan. It's like, so you have to go to the customer and be like, great news. 1,000th customer.
1,000. Haven't you guys been open for 30 years?
Like ring the bell. You got a winner. $300 off right off the top.
We stole this from a cancer ward.
$1,031 because you take exactly the amount that they'll allow. You literally finance the maximum legally allowed by the fucking financial institution.
For a multinational bank to be like, you guys are getting a little dirty over there.
Right. For Wells Fargo of all banks.
Yeah. One of the most evil corporations on earth. To be like,
it literally was Wells. I remember it so well. But yeah, when we knocked somebody's head off like that, which is what we called it when we ripped them off, or when we did our jobs well, is what we're really doing. Like, we laughed at them. We made fun of them a little bit. Like that Jamoke didn't do any internet research. Like, in Alpharetta, Georgia, we always had like well-to-do white dudes with glasses come in with a fucking stack of papers and an 800 beacon score, and like, all right, I'm making $50 today. You knew this guy was coming in prepared. He was going to fuck you up. And then sometimes someone would come in and they on the seat of their pants with a shoebox full of cash, and you're about to get paid. I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to be.
Did you buy pants yet? Or are you wearing normal pants right now?
I was going to buy pants today, but they didn't get my business. I was going to buy pants. I was going to buy the whole Bluetooth thing. I was going to buy a windshield. Nice. I was even considering getting like a slip-on exhaust from them, but they lost my business.
So the Bluetooth thing that seems to win every review is called Cardo. I have the regular version and the slim version. I don't have a preference.
What goes in your ear? Is there like an earbud, or is it just?
There is a speaker, and almost all helmets, I bet if you look at yours, has a recessed circle. You just pull a little foam out, and there's a spot where the speaker sticks in.
That's perfect, because I was afraid it was I can't do earbuds. They just hurt my ears.
You hate them?
I've got little baby bitch ears. I got virgin ears. You plug those things up, they don't like it.
So the speakers use you know what a headphone jack looks like, the thing they remove from the iPhone. Okay, the speaker uses that. So you can change the earbuds if for some reason you change your mind, but it comes with speakers.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, I would want the speakers. I'd love to be able to communicate with whoever I'm riding with. I want to ride with ZT. He's an
music.
Athens. Yeah, music for sure. I want to play my music. And navigation, like audio cues, would be nice. So I don't have to take my eyes off the road. That would all be very helpful things to have. But yeah, that's probably a wrap there. I hope I didn't bore you guys with my motorcycle talk. I'm super into it right now. I'll try to tone it down on PKA this week.
No, I'm glad you're into it.
I'm biased. I could talk. I'm like, we're stopping already. Okay. PKN 360.